Today is a special called meeting of the Commissioners Court. Thank you. Today is Friday, November the 18th. It's 10 a.m. We're in the Ralph H. Walton Jr. Justice Center, Central Jury Room at 1200 West Pearl Street in Granbury, Texas. The first item on the agenda today is take appropriate action to canvass the results of the November 8th, 2022 general election. Please come up here, Ms. Stephanie Cooper. Okay. How are you? Good morning.
Good morning. How are you? I have packets for everyone. I know I sent the results. Is it?
How
about now? Is
yeah,
that better?
that's better.
Okay. Does everybody want the packet that I created?
Be good. I don't think there was anything on it.
Thank you.
Okay. So this is pretty standard. You guys will see all the results from the November 8th general election. And here it's broken down by precincts on the back pages. But if there's any questions, let me know.
I only had one question, and I just wanted, kind of asking this for the taxpayers and voters, is when you talk about an undervote, that's where someone goes down a ballot and doesn't votes for certain people on the ballot but doesn't vote for others. Is that right?
Right.
Okay. And I know when I was on the ballot board several years ago, we had some, it was during the presidential cycle, and we had some mail-ins that all they did was vote on the president and everything else was blank.
And that's standard and in general to see a lot of the local races left on undervotes.
Can y'all hear there in the back?
Very well. No.
Okay, well.
Okay. Can you, how about now?
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
How
Okay.
about that? Closer to, okay.
Undervotes are something that happens more typically on the special or the jurisdictional elections versus the statewide and above.
Of course, there's no way that you can control that when they get the screen up there. They get their ballot, put it in there, and they go down there and skip something. There's no way for you to
No.
verify that or check it, and we don't want you verified to check it.
I don't wanna look
We
at
don't want to vote
it.
for somebody. We don't want to vote for them. So,
Yep.
am I right?
Right.
Yeah, Judge, and there are people that I've heard have told me that if I don't know who either side, I won't vote in it, which, you know, that's just a philosophy, I guess.
I know there were some people that had mentioned to me also that in the city election that there was usually 3 to 4% that didn't vote, but this time it was more like 10%. There again, don't know why, but there's nothing that you can do about it. We don't want anybody seeing, I don't want anybody seeing
No.
our vote, so I don't know about that. So I think, I see nothing wrong with it. By the way, the two ballot judges are Deborah Sagan for the Republican Party and Adrian Martin for the Democratic Party, and neither one of them have mentioned anything to me about any type of irregularities or anything. Did they say anything to you?
And Adrian was in the count room on election night and on Tuesday when we finalized all the rest of the ballots. So.
Okay. Well, do I hear an appropriate motion? Oh, yes. I was looking at two. I thought we were on one. Okay. And you are first. Nanette Samuelson.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. I just wanted to take an opportunity to thank Ms. Cooper and her staff. As you saw, well, you may have seen, but I saw multiple social media posts, plus people were just reaching out to me, talking to me in the grocery store, everywhere I was, letting me know how smooth the election went and how happy they were that their wait times were very, very short, and just congratulated Ms. Cooper and her staff for everything they did to make this election go so smoothly. So I just wanted to say that publicly so it was on the record and she knew about it. Thank you.
Okay. Next, Dr. Harold Granick.
And I'll be brief, just an observation that I noted that in the county case elections, that the early voting and the final votes were only different by 0.01%, which I found to be surprising, that the two groups of early voting and total voting were that paralleled.
Good observation. Okay. All right. Next, Mr. Ralph Gomez. I think I saw you working. Weren't you working down there?
Thank you for the opportunity, and I'd just like to just speak out as to the election itself. I worked early voting. I'm one of the judges, the alternate judges, and obviously voting, election day, it's in Acton, and we ran 1,573 voters. It's not easy. I will say this. To me, I do it because I like it. Yes, we get paid $15 an hour, but to me, it's not worth it for the stress and everything that the judge goes through on election day in resolving problems to minimize her problems, who's going crazy election day. But I will say, things went smoothly. I love the setup of the 24 machines for early voting, and I think every judge and every worker and clerk make sure that everybody has the opportunity to vote. And people don't realize what we do to ensure that each person gets that opportunity when they're not showing up on the tablets or there's a problem. We investigate everything before we give them the choice of a provisional. And that's what most of the public does not know, all the steps that are taken to ensure that the voter gets the opportunity to vote. And I commend all those workers and the office of the election administrator, because they are very helpful, and with the leadership, that's why you get the results that you get here in Hood County for this type of election, because I think we had, 27,000 some voters? That's large for Hood County. So on behalf of all the workers, I want to thank you and thank the office for supporting us and giving us that opportunity to work and get the elections done with integrity, honesty, and satisfaction of the voter, because we heard no complaints. You'll get a few whiners, which is expected, okay? Because they don't understand the rules. But as I say, we don't make up the rules, we enforce them. Thank you.
Thank you for all your good work. You've been doing this for how long? 1 year? Is this your first year? 5, 6 years. Okay. All right. Thank you. Now that that's all the speakers up here, do I hear a motion?
Yeah, Judge, I'll make a motion to accept the canvass as presented.
Second?
A motion been made by Commissioner Andrews to accept the results of the November 8th, 2022 canvass of the general election, second by Commissioner Eagle. Any further discussion or comments or questions? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you very much. How many of these do you need signed? I have the original one. Okay. We will sign it and get it back. You want to take it with you now? I guess we, well, it needs to be. Okay, thank you. All right, item number 3, discuss and take appropriate action to approve a Tyler Odyssey application support specialist position in the county clerk's office. Okay, Ms. Lang.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Yes, I put in a job description that would allow me to hire a technical person to help with our conversion process to Tyler Odyssey in my office. It'll be paid for out of my records management fund, 118.0216. There are several AG opinions that allow me to do this. GA 0638 in 2008. The fund may be used to pay that portion of the salaries of any employee in the clerk's office who performs the tasks that further specific records management and preservation purposes. A county clerk may expend the money in the county clerk's records management and preservation fund to supplement deputy salaries set by the Commissioner Court. The County Commissioners Court has implemented a bonus or supplement plan in place when the deputies were employed. The Commissioner Court has given prior approval to the supplement, and the county clerk has considered whether the supplement is proportional to the amount of time each employee spends on specific management and preservation, including automation purposes. There's another one, GA-0118 in 2003. The county clerk's records management and preservation fund may be used for employee salaries so long as the employees perform records management and preservation functions. The clerk must determine what constitutes records management and preservation functions. So I'm just asking that you approve this.
Thank you very much. We got two speakers on this. First is Dr. Granick.
And I'm in favor of this. It's a good idea. I wish it had been done earlier. I thought it might be paid for out of the 1.6 million for that.
Yeah.
But whatever. It's good that we can get along and get this and proceed to have the whole system on Tyler, so.
Good deal. Good deal. Tina Brown. Good morning.
I just had a couple of questions. It said it was going to be a 40-hour-a-week job. Is this a full-time position or a temporary position?
It's a contract position.
So until it's done? I didn't understand that. Like the DOE annual contract, I don't know what that is either.
It's a contract position, so it's done until the job is done.
Okay, so are benefits paid too? Or would that, is that, so this $50,000?
No, it's a contract
was that-
like anyone would work. Any vendor would come in with a contract. So I don't have the contract written yet, but it wouldn't. Do you want to answer?
Well, we're not, normally do we do any type of contract labor. That would be something I would definitely have to wait to see how Matt Mills weighs in on that, because we've not ever done that before. I wasn't aware that was the plan. I assumed this was like a temporary, seasonal type position until we got through this transition phase, a start date and a finish date.
Okay. I'm open to whatever suggestions. I know that the district clerk hired somebody, and she told me it was under contract, so I'm just using that word. It doesn't have to be a contract, it could be.
No, he's a part-time employee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, so
But
that would be
we do
fine.
not pay benefits on part-time positions because we try to keep their hours at 24 based off of Hood County policy.
Okay, but the job description said 40 hours a week.
Then that would be a full-time employee, but it could be a temporary position, a seasonal position.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's what I was just trying to get.
But they would still, we would have to have a start date and an end date.
Okay, so no benefits on, or do they earn benefits? I'm just.
A lot would depend on how the court looks at this and approves it. We don't want to get ourselves into trouble and not provide benefits if the employee stays for any length of time. Again, I'm not sure what kind of time frame we're looking at with this position.
Do
I
we
think it
not?
depends. I think it's an open question, and we're going to work it out, and it's got to be negotiated. with
Okay,
our-
what was DOE annual contract?
Depends on experience.
Depends on experience. Okay, and FLSA?
That's the Fair
Non-exempt?
Labor Standards Act. Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
We will definitely be fair to whomever.
I just didn't know what these terms meant, so I had questions.
Sure.
So, and do we not have anyone in the county who that's already been working on this, that could transition over to her office? that's already
You
on
want
the
to dig
payroll?
up all this again. We've
Wait, because
you've been
it's
here
not,
every time up here, Tina Brown.
my time's not up.
No, these are good questions.
Yes, I mean, if we already have somebody, why are we searching for someone else? I'm just wondering if, because all the other.
Everybody else is busy and have their own deals to do, and she needs somebody expert. We've been talking about this. We thought we had it, but we need to get up to speed. We don't want any more delays.
Oh, I understand,
job.
but since everybody's ready to go live, is there not someone that could, from one of those offices that could transition?
Well, my
I just-
understanding is it's a little bit, it's too much for somebody to do in that type of a situation. It's a temporary position, so I don't think somebody that's working in a particular job right now would want to move into a temporary situation and lose the employment where they are now.
Okay, that makes sense.
And I think that a lot of it is particular to the county clerk's office where, somebody coming over from the JP's office, my understanding is it's not exactly a perfect fit at that point. There would still be a lot to learn. So it's, that person doesn't really exist in the county. There are a lot of people out there that are willing to help on an as-needed basis, but,
This sounds like a very
specific.
specific person. Are we going to be able to find someone for 50,000? Thank you.
Yeah.
I think we are. Thank you. Good questions. All right.
We could ask her, what are you doing?
Okay. Any other questions or comments, or do I hear an appropriate motion?
Can we talk about this a little more?
Sure.
I don't think we're set on how we're moving forward, or I'm a little confused by it.
No, I agree with you. I think that, are we,
Well, I guess the first thing we got to vote on is to see if we approve a Tyler specialist to be hired by the county
I assume
clerk.
this is a full-time
Yeah.
position then?
Well,
Benefits,
Well, I don't know if it's,
retirement?
I think it's just for the conversion, isn't it? Katie, is that what it is? It's just for the conversion?
Yes, sir. And by statute, they would just be working on Tyler. They're not going to be doing e-filing or anything else. It's specifically for the conversion. And so once that is done, then, so I guess it would be a seasonal
we-
person like you were talking about.
Do we have a gut feeling on the timeframe that
Well-
this might take?
do we need to do that, or do we approve this up to
I think to classify this
October, first
position
year?
as seasonal, we need a start date and an end date. We do this occasionally in the summertime. We'll hire additional help, maintenance, road and bridge. They're not offered benefits, but it's a seasonal position. They have a start date and they have an end date, that they may work 3 months, June, July, August.
Okay, so I would be willing to do that if it can be renewed.
Yeah, I don't see any problem with that.
And I
Hired for
can't
3
speak to
months.
that.
and
Could be
if they don't
extended,
finish-
come back to court and
come back
extend it.
Yes.
That can happen.
Let me ask you this for hypothetical. Why can't we do a contract? Why can't we hire somebody under a contract?
I have always been told that contract labor is really something that person does when they're free to do it. It's something they do on their own. We're going to be requiring this person to come to our office, use our equipment, and perform certain duties that this person doesn't do on the outside. So that's
Fair
why I
enough.
would discourage it from being a contract
enough.
labor.
Would part-time be an option?
So for the most part, the way that I would look at this is just kind of open it as a part-time position, not a seasonal position, but a part-time position that at some point is just going to be closed. And so the best path to go to it, honestly, would be to hire somebody that can fill in as a clerk, and then have somebody that is already present in the office serve as the SME, subject matter expert, for the Tyler migration, because they already know all the data in the county clerk. They already know what should be where, what means what, and that would probably be a lot easier than trying to find somebody that's knowledgeable in both Tyler and net data and try to learn all of the, ins and outs of the county clerk's office right away.
Okay, so that's what my SME was when we started this conversion, and the problems that I ran into were my office being understaffed, him having to train new employees, us having to go through the process of hiring new employees, he is not able to do the conversion and run the priorities in my office that I have to attend to statutorily. So that's why I'm going outside for help. This should be, I did talk to Greg Wallace with Tyler, and he suggested that I find somebody that is more technical with net data than with Tyler, because Tyler will be training during the conversion, and net data is the knowledge that they need to mesh the two together, basically. So during my hiring process, I will be looking for somebody. I mean, it'd be a bonus if they had conversion experience, and there are clerks out there that have done this conversion all over Texas. I mean, there's been several conversions from Odyssey, from net data to Tyler. I did reach out to Dallas, my clerk there, and so I've got several leads on things, but I don't have any solid, what are they called? Solid candidates yet, because I'm kind of holding myself back because I wanted to get it approved through the Commissioners Court first, but I do have several leads that I can research and find somebody with net data experience, which is mostly the priority of knowing the county clerk's office and net data. And that would be another clerk that has been employed before in the county clerk's office.
I think you can work with HR and figure it out. I don't think, but do we have to do that today between you and HR on whether it's how you're going to pay them, what dates do you think you want to start with? They can always come back to court and ask for an extension, but if we need to put a start and end date.
Well, I think it would be beneficial for us to have some direction on how the court would like to move forward.
Yeah, I think that the part-time is probably out, because this is somebody that's going to be kind of needing all hands on deck, and I think that by being part-time, they're limited on the number of hours a week they can work, correct? Am I correct in
Then
that
I would
assumption?
recommend it be a full-time position, and that employee receive benefits just like every other county employee receives benefits.
I would think it would need
Based
to be
off
a
the salary.
full-time position to get everything up to speed and, close this gap of the lag between the rest of the county and the county clerk's office and JP4's office. Close up that gap. So to me, it would be, I would think, a full-time position, especially since she's agreed for the funds to come out of record management.
Yeah, I would be fine with that. I think when I was first elected in 2015, we had the prior clerk had hired a person that we were paying out of that fund just to be working on archival stuff. So
And that's true. County clerk's office did. And the only thing I just would want the court to be aware of is once you dissolve a position, you are liable for unemployment.
Well, that was the
Just be
next
aware of
question
that.
I was going to ask, is can we do this in such a way that this job terminates at that time and
No.
there's no?
No. That person will receive unemployment if they file for it.
Not unless you set the time start and end, and then you can do it that way, right?
We can, and even then, we're liable for unemployment really with just about anyone that works for us. Be it part-time, be it an election clerk, they can all go file for unemployment because we have offered them a position, work, and then once that work is over, they can go file for unemployment. Unless I have documentation that supports they're a bad employee, they're going to get unemployment more than likely.
The other side, might be that at the time when the conversion is completed, there may, that person may be eligible or want to stay, and there may be a position open, either in the county clerk's office or elsewhere.
That is true.
To assist,
Yes.
so we don't have to worry about the unemployment issue as much.
That is true. There could be an
Especially
option
if
for
they're a
that
full-time employee.
Yes.
yeah, I agree.
Okay, so what we need, do you have a salary in mind when talking?
Yes,
Did we do that?
I don't know.
That's something that we can do in executive session. I don't know as though we should give salary parameters out here in the open. Anybody? I'll take that job, and I'd like the highest thing that you got,
Yeah.
that you voted on in court, so.
All right, so what do you want, just a blanket approval to give her permission to hire a full-time employee to assist on the conversion? And that'd probably be a full-time employee. Is that?
That's correct. However, I think the court and the county clerk needs to be in agreement on a salary or a top salary that up to.
Well,
I don't know
again,
that we
think
should leave that open range.
But I think that should be done.
Okay, and that's
behind
up
a
to the
closed door
court,
and-
but,
and,
yeah.
You know.
On a not to exceed, I mean, you're just, you want some idea of what you're doing here?
Sure, yeah. Y'all may have an issue if I bring
Well,
a,
Mr. Mills, you're being awful quiet up here. Let's get our dollars worth today. Come on up here. Because I'm like Mr. Eagle here. I'm used to being in the private sector where I've done a lot of contract for hire. They get a contract to do a specific job, pay a specific amount, and that's it. But listening to Ms. Welborn here, she says that's not that easy in county governance, so.
Right. Well, it would seem to me that there could be sort of an agreement, a handshake agreement, if you will, that we'll hire this new person on. Once the conversion is done, the next time you have an opening, you just don't fill it, right? I mean, you have a surplus of an employee once the conversion's over with, and then if she would just agree openly that, okay, once I have somebody in my office somewhere, if I want to keep the new person I hired on, I just don't fill the new spot. I mean, does that kind of make sense?
Yes, and actually, I do have an open position that I have not filled.
and that would work.
Getting at.
I'm just asking for direction on an annual salary at this point
Yeah.
for this position.
And I don't know why that has to be in closed session. I mean, just a generic salary, right?
Well, I think it's going to be a range. Is that not, are we not talking about a range depending on experience or whatever?
Yes.
So if the person that we're looking at says, well, I'll go watch the video and see, all right, they said up to 75. I think I'll start there.
Well, I mean,
We're not going to
you're
hire
kinda
that
letting-
person. That person's not going to get hired.
That,
Okay.
then why set the range? If you're not going to hire that person, why set the range?
Well, when you're negotiating with somebody that has that experience, people in that business know what that kind of specialist does.
Yes.
Tyler and Wallace and Gregory and all those guys, they know kind of what that position goes for.
Right. And I think it's public record because you can go on the employment site and pull up any resume or any posting, and it'll have salaries listed on there.
Yeah. Okay.
The sheriffs, yeah, you've said those in open court.
But I think that was based more on a definitive, measurable, quantifiable
Yeah, I'm
deal,
not
and I
trying to
don't know
argue
where,
here. I'm up for whatever you all decide.
Well, if we just make a motion here for Ms. Lang to be able to hire somebody, you didn't have a public participation form, lo siento, senor.
Okay. All I want to say, I was the head of a case activity tracking system in DC that we converted to the entire country, and there's better ways to do this.
Talk to Ms. Lang afterwards, okay? Get up. Okay. So it's just a motion to hire a person to help you with the conversion and the contract to be negotiated. I guess that's what it is. So do you want to-
Full-time, so we're looking at a full-time position for current fiscal budget year, and the court is okay with whatever salary the county clerk sets.
Well, no. No. That's negotiated. We'll have to approve it, I guess, won't we,
That would be
Mr. Mel?
and that would be an exec session.
Would we have to approve, the commissioners going to have to approve that? You can negotiate it, and then when the contract comes up, we approve it?
Well, I mean, I think you need to set, not to exceed X.
Okay.
Right here, and you can do that in open session. I don't see why that needs to be behind closed doors, just.
That's what I think.
This is the top level.
Really, the agenda item says to approve a Tyler Odyssey application position in the clerk's office. It doesn't say anything about salaries or anything, so I don't know if you need to include that yet.
Well, and that's right, but I think this HR says she'd like to have a little more clarity how we're going to do that.
Oh, okay.
Well, I think
And
applicants will be calling and asking what the salary is going to be, and without some type of direction, I have no clue.
Okay.
Because you're going to have to post it,
Yes.
so.
Can I ask a question? You've done the research on what this person should make.
Yes.
Why can't you just tell us the salary range from your discussion with people in the know?
Well, I have it on the court has it. It's my job description.
I don't know what it is.
Okay, it's 50K, and it depends on experience, so it could go up higher than that.
So it starts at 50K.
Depending on, I mean, I don't have to start them at 50 if it's, that's the range I'm looking for.
You think you can hire a person not to exceed 56?
Yeah, that would be fair.
And then you negotiate with Mr. Mills and HR then to
Yeah,
see about doing it? So a full-time position not to exceed 56,000?
yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Would that be all right?
Yeah.
Can you do that? Okay. I hear a motion in that regard.
Yes, I move that we authorize the county clerk for the Tyler Odyssey application support specialist position in the county clerk's office with a minimum of 50,000 with a not to exceed of 56,000 annual for a full-time employee.
Out of her management fund.
How to fund what?
No, out of her management.
Out of record management.
Records management, whatever the fund is.
Yeah,
Which is what she's already stated.
yeah. Okay. Do I hear a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Okay, so a motion been made by Commissioner Wilson to approve a Tyler Odyssey application support specialist position in the county clerk's office for a salary range between 50 and not to exceed $56,000 to be paid out of the county clerk's record management monies. A second by Commissioner Eagle. Any further discussion or comment? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. All right. Item number 4, discuss and take appropriate action to amend the Hood County Commissioners Court policies and procedures, operation and use of county vehicle policy for the Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Deeds.
Judge, Commissioners, you put out a policy, I don't remember the date on it, and it restricts us quite a bit on what we can do with a county vehicle. Basically, if you're going to be a county employee or under arrest to ride in a vehicle, and we need those, that a little more broader, looking at different things, trying to get things done with the people that I have. And so if we can have the cars that we don't have enough for everybody, take them home. If they're on shift, like working a Monday, Tuesday shift, or a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, then they're ready to go. As soon as that car is turned on, the radio's on, they're ready to take calls. They're hearing what's going on, so they can respond directly. The vehicle has got their equipment in it. The way it works, a lot of the times, they come up to the office, they come a little earlier, and then they got to transfer equipment from their personal vehicle into the county vehicle. So it would save a lot more time, get them ready to go and get them out there to do the job a whole lot quicker. And then going home, it works the same way. Their radio's on until they pull into the driveway, and if something happens, they can respond then too. Well, I look at it, a deputy is a deputy 24/7. They might be off duty, but if I need them on duty, then they're ready to go. If we have something major, and there's been a lot of different things over the years that we've needed extra help. then they've got the vehicles, they're ready to go, they get there and get in place and serve and protect the citizens like their job is supposed to be for. So, done some research over the years with the Attorney General opinions, and it basically boils down to, I can do what I need to do with the deputies in those vehicles for public safety. So I just want to have a little more leeway to be able to do that and get the job done, get people there doing their job quicker, easier. So there's a lot of different reasons that I could read off to you all day long, but.
Would this, the next item, is also, kind of intermingles with this, in that whatever deputy is on call for this week, in my mind, you should be able to take that vehicle home. If he's on call, he doesn't need to have to come all the way in.
Correct.
So that means, whoever's on call, takes the vehicle home that week, and then the next week, somebody else, whoever's on call, goes, takes it home. But that's going to, tie up. What's that going to do as for your impact as far as vehicles?
Well, we have a limited number of vehicles. We've got the investigators all have a vehicle, so they're ready to go to drive them home, take them wherever they need to, do the job that they need to do. As far as patrol, then that'd be a work in progress, and as the court can find some money to order some more vehicles. But all the investigators have vehicles, so they don't have to borrow anything to go to work. So they're ready to go. And that does make a big difference when you're on call. I need you to get there pretty quick.
If you're on call, you need to have the car right there.
Yes.
And I agree with that. I'm just wondering what kind of impact, what is the impact going to be, because of that?
As far as fuel mileage or?
No,
just
car availability.
We've got everybody, all of my investigators have vehicles assigned to them now, so they'd have them, they're ready to go. They could get on the job right away and get there quicker and serve and protecting the people.
Are the investigators the only one on call, or got patrol that's on call?
Well,
based off schedule.
All my management people are on call. As far as I'm concerned, everybody's on call. If I need you, you better come running if we got a disaster or something like that. But the investigators, we need them when the on-shift deputy comes across the call that he needs help on because something major has happened, then they can get there and assist that patrol deputy and take the case where it needs to go. So. I don't have a car for all the patrol guys, but for management people, and that I expect to be on call 24/7, and investigators, when they're on call, then they can respond and get where they need to go. So.
Okay.
All right, somebody brought up the concern. This is, the policy still applies that they're not going to Walmart with their family, and
No.
I just wanted to get that on the record and say that is not part of what's going on here. So it's still confined to.
Yeah, we take disciplinary action if they were going to Walmart, going to liquor store, anything like that. It's not for personal business. It's just 100% get to the job and get the job done, serving, protecting the citizens of Hood County. So.
That wouldn't look real good coming out of a liquor store, would it? Getting in a squad car?
The sheriff before me, I heard, had an issue like that, but I haven't and I won't, so we'll take care of that.
So,
We decided the last time that it was a 30-mile radius that they would take it. Isn't that part of it also?
That was the recommendation that came to you. I didn't bring that paperwork today, but
And it was 30 miles outside the county. So it'd be a 30 mile from the county line.
30-mile radius from the county line.
Right.
Did we already vote on that? But you didn't, so maybe we should go ahead and
so are
take
we?
appropriate action to amend the policies and procedures.
yeah, there's still a couple speakers. Or
Do what?
Alyssa had something to say.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying that needs to be part of the deal too, the 30-mile radius from the county line. But Tina Brown, we haven't heard from you in such a long time. Do you want to?
Well, while we're waiting on her, you talked about policy. I don't have the policy in front of me. I'm sorry, I haven't read it. And I'm not so sure you're going to give me a 4-pager and I'm going to read it and understand what to do about this?
The court approved in February of 2020.
So the sheriff would like to have some more leniency in this policy, but I don't know what all those leniency is that he's asking for. I'd like to hear that instead of me making the policy. I'd like to see him, this is me personally, is come tell us what is restrictive for you and what would you like to have in it, and then we would decide on it. But that's, if we're going to.
I don't know, it sounded like he just wants a car for everyone to be able to take home, and that makes lots of sense to me. I'm just wondering, how many cars are we talking about? And do we have a dollar amount that this court is considering?
Well, we're short approximately 15 vehicles for the staff that I have now, so.
But you're down how many? So you're down 9? So
I got 8 slots.
8 slots, so you're down 23 vehicles?
No.
If you count the people that you don't have?
Well,
15 and 8? I was just looking for a dollar figure, how much we're talking about. And like a time frame.
Commissioners, Judge. So what we're trying to do currently is work with what we have. We're not trying to add anything additional, add any additional cars at this point in time during this quarter or anything like that. Y'all know how that whole process works. I don't have to explain that to y'all. What we're trying to do is utilize what we have currently right now. So like with the deputies, if they work consecutive days, those cars are out in the county more. They're seen. It's a crime deterrent. People see those coming to and from their places of their homes to the offices, or just being able to come on shift. So we're not asking for the county to come up with funds to add more to our fleet at this point in time. This is just to be able to utilize what we currently have with the policies that were put in place to help alleviate some of that issue. As far as personal use, yeah, we would actually have county policy and then the sheriff's policy, how it always does that. We may even be more strict on some policies that the county has on those things. The only thing that we were discussing about is personal use. We don't do it for anything like that. However, we do have employees, investigators, things that take their kids to and from school. They drop them off, then they come straight to work. So those employees currently are having to drop their kids off, go back home, get their county vehicle, and then come back. So it's a lot of time. The way that I personally look at it for the schools and what's going on in today's world, me personally, I think it's a great thing that if it was possible to be able to allow those things to be utilized, and by dropping off kids. They're being seen at the schools. They're there at that time, and again, the whole purpose of it is a crime prevention, crime deterrent, and then a faster response to any type of issues that we may have. So again, we're not adding anything to the fleet. We're not asking for more cars. We don't have enough for that. Every investigator does have their own individual car, so those are taken care of. Does that kind of answer everything that kind of we're throwing around?
And my caution there would be, surely our policy doesn't cover, our insurance doesn't cover anybody outside, or that type of situation. That would be a big red flag on that to me.
It would have to be for county business, yeah.
So I mean, and that's fine. I mean, that's not a deal breaker. There are agencies, like I said, that are utilizing this, that all they're doing is signing waivers, just simple like our ride-out waivers that we do for current ride-out programs if we have those enacted. So just like anything else, you can sign a piece of paper, get around that, but again, that's up to the court on that. Like I said, it's just
That's correct. It'd be up to the court.
Well, and I would say let's delve into that a little bit more and see what our liabilities are and all that stuff.
No, that's perfectly fine. And like I said, that's just comes down to like policy, when we actually put in policy.
What is your opinion about the fact, just what he describes on the thing? I like the idea that seeing a vehicle, a police vehicle at schools, just dropping kids off. But, looking at the 6 situations here, I don't know if an investigator had a child with them, got a wreck, or somebody ran a stop sign, ran into them, no negligence at all on part of the sheriff's department deputy, and the child got injured or somewhere or another, could the county be liable?
I mean, can I see the waivers that you're talking about from the other county? I mean, let me just see what the other counties are doing and then get back with you if you don't mind. That might be better.
And we've got a version here on the policy dated 2/25/20. I mean, can't we draft another version and get it all together before we come in here? And I mean, I don't see what we're even trying to pass today.
I want a little bit more, let you, because I do just, I'm reading right off the top, it says, "No employee shall use any county vehicle for private use for profit or personal purpose, not expressly county business, to include the transport of family members." So we've got it in the policy, and if we want to, so we would need to change policy if we were going to allow such a thing. And again, if Matt can get with you and develop a waiver that would be satisfied for the court to do it, I still think it's a good idea practically to do that more times you get those cars on the street and law enforcement, I think it's better off for the county.
And also what we use those waivers for, or would use the waivers, we've got students that want to see what it's all about, so we can get them into that line of work, and that's hard to entice people anymore. Other peace officers say, well, what's Hood County like? We can draw them a picture or show them a picture, but if they can ride out with a deputy, that makes things easier. So per that policy, if they're not an employee or under arrest, they can't ride in the vehicle. So need a little slack on things like that. So the waivers, other jurisdictions use those waivers, and I guess anybody can sue anybody for anything at any time, but at least that waiver gives you something that they signed saying that they wouldn't hold the county responsible for anything. So I'd ask that we look at being able to do that again.
So
Let me ask you this. We got kind of two things about right here. One is about the deputies right now being able to take the cars home with them. That's one thing. The second thing is, can they have members of their family? And that's going to require a waiver situation that y'all can draft up with Mr. Mills' input in that. So do we want to try to go ahead and get the thing passed right away that they get to take the vehicles home with them? And you're going to have to make other arrangements till we work out the waiver deal as far as getting their family members. Isn't that the best thing to do?
Sure. I mean, that's one thing that's been talked about before. We have a whole ride-out procedure that's already been created up, so that'll give us that time to be able to utilize that, to get it, make sure the verbiage and everything's there, kind of black and white, to be able to see how it is. But for now, for today's court purposes, is just to be able to utilize those on those day-to-day basis for the employee, for work purposes. I mean, that's what all this comes around, but again, this is just for utilizing currently what we have. You know, like tonight, it's Friday, our day shift will go home. If we push this forward, that day shift, instead of having to offload all of their equipment tonight and then load it all back up in the morning, which that car's designated for them, you know, for a day spot, which the county has, you know, when they're loading and unloading, that's more time that they're on the clock. If they're able to clock out instead of having to do all that stuff, that's saving the taxpayers money from us not being on the clock to do those things. Just being able to enact that today, of just being able to allow those deputies that are working that consecutive day to be able to take those home, come back the next day to work. That's really all we're trying to do today.
I've quickly read this thing. Dave's a faster reader than I am, but I don't see anything in the policy that restricts us from letting deputies take the vehicle home.
Other than it just talks about on a case-by-case basis, which is what this is. And I just want to confirm, Captain Berry, you are talking today just about your deputies, right? Are we talking just about your deputies?
Are you like peace officer-wise? Is that what you mean?
Well, I heard investigators earlier. Do investigators already take their
Investigators
vehicles
currently,
home?
so the way the county policy is, it was always, you know, the sheriff had to come to court and ask for approval for those things on a case-by-case basis, like she brings up. Those things have been done in the past. his investigators for the sheriff's office. They get called out. If we have a small crime scene, there may be 1 or 2 investigators that come out. If it's a larger crime scene, we may have all hands on deck and all of them come out.
So they do take their cars home with them now?
Currently, the investigators that are here, they're already equipped, set up, and they're already taking those. That's been approved in the past, as well as the administration, because we are subject to recall at any point in time. Right now, like I said, it's really the deputies' thing for the consecutive days that they're at work. So these cars aren't going to be sitting at their houses on their days off. We need those here at work, so those will be here at work if they're not working.
So let me make sure I get this, because I'm looking at our policy. The argument is going to be that when they take it home, their own duty or on call till the time they pull in the driveway, and then when they pull back out of the driveway. Is that, because I'm looking here, it says employees who utilize county vehicles for any personal purposes, including driving vehicles home, will be subject to taxation in accordance with the IRS publication 15B. Have y'all looked into that?
Have. Again, it could be subject to that. There are, like I said, there's agencies out there, and I can get all that documentation together, that it's just like any other thing, county providing a service weapon. It's the same exact thing. It's a piece of county property that they look into because it's not a benefit. We're not offering it to them as a benefit. We're offering it to them as a service to the county of how this helps save taxpayers money, again,
and you got
not having
to
them
be on
clock
the
in and out.
24/7 call.
And you're on that call 24/7.
That's
so
the big thing. That's the distinction.
It's not so much looking
And
at it as a benefit.
I have checked into it, and these are marked vehicles. These are not vehicles that you go around driving on a day-to-day basis for family use, so it doesn't fall under the IRS guidelines as far as taxation goes.
That's what I thought too. Okay, so the motion would be to allow the deputies that are working a consecutive shift to take their vehicles home with them if they're coming back on the next shift, whether it be night or day or whatever, like y'all going to range on the thing, and then not to exceed a 30-mile radius from the county line, the Hood County line. Is that it? That's my motion.
Second.
That's my motion, made by the county judge, second by Commissioner Wilson. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
That's good. Okay, so the item number 5 is about the $100 per week for on-call investigators not to exceed 52 weeks or $5,200 a week. So an investigator that's on call.
$5,200 a year.
Yeah, not to exceed $5,200 a year. So that's $100 a week for somebody that's on call.
The way I've always done it since I've been the sheriff for coming up on 14 years, then we've got one individual, one investigator that's on call to take the calls. I think they start out, the way it's been worked out is Tuesday morning, and then they go until the next Tuesday morning, and then another one starts on call. The problem is they want to do other stuff when they're off duty, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. That's not the way we work. And when the calls happen, we got to get out there and take care of it. We have people that are deceased that we get an investigator out to look into things, help the JP, take care of business. The severe calls, burglaries, major assault cases, things of that nature. And I need to get those guys out there, and I don't want them to, I want them to know that they're there to take that call and think, well, I can go to Fort Worth and watch a movie or something like that. So this would be an incentive to help make sure that they're dedicated for that week. And as hard as those people, when they're on call, have to work sometimes, you never know what's going to happen from day to day. And as Hood County grows, it seems like they get more cases that they have to get called out for to work. So I greatly appreciate what you've done here in the last couple of weeks with the pay and all that, but then this would help with that individual, that investigator on call. So it's just for those guys, and it'd just be that no more than $5,200 a year for one person for $100 that week.
And like Gary Roberts said on the thing, it helps that babysitters are making sure that they're covered on the thing if you got young children there, so we could live with that. Do I hear an appropriate motion?
I'd like to make a little bit of discussion here, and I've talked to you guys about this, and I'm sorry, this is, I'm a little concerned. We are way out there into next year's budget. We're probably looking at being at least $1 million out. And I know this is $5,200, and that's not a very big number. But I think this is something that needs to be discussed at budget time. And I mean, I know we've kind of thrown off a lot of that stuff right here because we had a bit of an emergency that we had to address right now. But we've got some big adjustments coming in the budget next year, and I think that this is something that we should probably talk about at budget time. I mean, there have been some pretty significant increases with investigator pay,
and they all appreciate.
Yeah. I mean, there's, and I'm certainly not saying that it's anything against their efforts in this deal. I just think that we probably ought to tap the brakes on this one and wait till.
Is it legal to take, I can't think of what fund it is, abandoned vehicle money, take $5,200 and plug it into however it can be paid for this on-call status, and then it's coming from not taxpayer money because it's abandoned vehicle, so at least to get us.
It's all taxpayer money. In the grand scheme of things, it is assigned to you. Katie has the same thing. It's still all taxpayer money. I would want to make sure that's allowable, and then it's fine. But I would want to make sure we read all the code regarding abandoned vehicle, the actual use of it. And it may say for anything the sheriff wants to use, but I would really like to make sure that's okay, if that, so that we don't make the paper.
I'm just going to recommend if we do this process that we have it done like the meal reimbursements. I think that would be cleaner and more transparent to send those through to me, and I can just add it as like a supplement to their pay instead of adding to salaries, something like that. No different than a medical reimbursement or a meal reimbursement. I just add it on the payroll and we're done with it. So it doesn't get, it's not multiple. But I think it's cleaner that way if that's the direction you decide to go.
Okay.
And Tuesday to Tuesday is fine. We'll just pay them 1 week, 2 week, and just go down that way.
That's taxed though, right?
It is taxed.
Yeah. Oh, I understand that. That's why I would be giving the money to you to do what you need to do.
Well, what we would do is technically, if it's possible, we'd have to look and see what the regulations are, but if we can take it out of the fund for that, we'll just draw it from that fund during payroll, so instead of transferring, or you wanting to transfer it over?
Well, you can't draw out of Fund 61 because I do know this part of the government code says it has to be transferred to Fund 10 to be utilized for anything. There's nothing you can do in Fund 61 but pay the record fees and storage fees, that's it. And any expenditures from there the budget has to be moved to the general fund, so we'd have to move it anyway. And I don't think there would be a problem, but just to make sure.
Well, or to get things started, I don't have much, but I got a forfeiture fund that years past, when I was a deputy, Sheriff Hardin paid a small little, I don't know what he called it, but extra to the investigators, things like that. So I'll write the county a check for $5,200 to cover it till we figure it all out.
I would just make sure in the local government code, if that's okay for it to come out of those funds, correct?
It can come out of forfeiture. There's a place when we do the reporting, it says salaries.
Okay.
And I may have missed this, but will they make a note on the timesheet that states whoever's on call?
So for right now, we get like a form for the meal reimbursements that Kim sends over.
Okay.
She can just send them to me.
Same type of practice, okay.
Right.
So if I wrote a check today and brought it to you for $5,200, you'd know where to put it.
Yes. Sure.
Well,
It's going to come out of the forfeiture fund of the sheriff's department.
And transferred into the.
And transferred into this, is that correct?
You can do that on the back end, it's not an issue.
Okay.
It's just whether you approve it or not. We can do everything else on the back end.
Okay.
Benefits, you're going to have benefits with this. It can't just be 5,200. It has to be the additional retirement and FICA. So whatever that comes to, that's the check that I would write if you, because you've got to pay the whole amount. It's supposed to be good.
Well, so it should be good. Well, whatever you guys come up with to September 30th, whatever the last day, so get us through this fiscal year. I'll write that check.
Well, how many deputies, not one deputy's going to get it, so how many deputies are going to get this extra $100 a week?
Well, it's
Maybe
just
go
going to be
back to 3?
52.
Well, it's just one per
Well,
week.
just one per week,
I know.
so, yeah.
Then how many deputies are going to be sharing in this?
9.
No.
9?
And we
So 9
would
into
definitely need
52
an
is-
effective date if you decided to do this, not retro back.
Starting with the 21st
No, not retro
payroll.
back. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's going to be 9 deputies, so that 9 into 5,200 is what, 6, yeah. 500 and,
$70?
500, no, yeah, $570.
Or
I don't know how much that's going
Being on call, so,
to,
yeah, whatever the total is with the tax title license, I'll write the check. It'll start Monday. Isn't that, Monday's a new pay period?
It is.
So the November 21st, and I'll write the check for whatever she says it is out of forfeiture to finish out the year till September 30th.
do I hear a motion?
Whatever they decide.
I make the motion that we let the sheriff's department pay out of the forfeiture fund up to $5,200 a week for $5,200 per year. Including benefits for the on-call deputies. Investigators for that week. Does that get it? Do I hear a second?
second.
You want anything else clarified? What?
Effective what date?
Monday, 11/21.
November 21.
Effective November 21, 2022. Any questions, comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you.